Hello everyone, welcome to the Match Horse Racing Podcast. It's days 3 and 4 of York we're going to be covering today. So we're sat here on Thursday. We've just done the Ebor draw, so we know the horse is going to emerge. And we've had decks for a good hour or so for the Saturday. Start with Friday, obviously. We'll start with the group on Friday and the Ebor on Saturday, and then work our way back through chronologically from the start of the day. Joined by Andrew, Blair White and Charlie Poste to take you through this. Don't forget to like and subscribe, however you are taking this podcast. You can follow as well, be that on YouTube, or if you're listening on the podcast, preferred podcast app. Use the bonus code POD50 if you want to get 50 quid in free bets. We've had that going for a while. That's for new customers, and the terms and conditions are on the website if you want to head there and take advantage of that. Bet 50, get 50 offer using the bonus code POD50. I'll take you through at the end of each £5 money back as a free bet, best bet treble. You've got to use our selections, and if it wins, happy days. If it doesn't, you get your money back. Right, Nunthorpe, the Group 1 on Friday, the 3:35, decent prices going up. I thought that might be the case. Andrew White, first of all, you agree with Charlie on one of them, which is JM Jungle, and you got 2 in the race. Take it away, sir.
Yeah, it looks like a race that you can definitely have 2 in, to be honest. 17 runners, looks like there's plenty of kind of betting options in there. I've decided to go for the Goodwood form with JM Jungle and She's Quality. She's Quality's been an awfully unlucky filly this year. Second on all 4 occasions. I do think the demands of York will really suit her, though. She's a fast filly. If anything, she doesn't quite get home over 5 furlongs. They tried to smuggle her into the Goodwood race, and she nearly got there. And then JM Jungle, who's a slightly bigger price. I think She's Quality's 11.0 and JM Jungle's 15.0, but he's a very consistent horse. Won the big 5.5 furlong handicap at this meeting last year. Has some good course form to his name from earlier this year, and then put in a career best performance when winning the King George at Goodwood. He's a likeable horse. I think the way the race will be run, where he'll actually manage to get a lead, will really suit him. As much as he is a horse that likes to be prominent, connections have stated that he thinks that they're better with a lead. So that would hopefully play into his hands. They're both drawn right beside Night Raider, who you'd think will blaze a trail. So there should be plenty of pace to run at, and I'd be hopeful that the 2 of them could well outrun their double-figure prices.
All right, Charlie, what do you want to add to JM Jungle?
Not much, mate. I mean, like Andrew said, he's an admirably consistent horse. Worked his way through Handicap Company and then the 2 starts in Stakes Company. Finished behind Washington Heights at the track on his penultimate start. I'd give him a small squeak as well at a big price in the Nunthorpe on Friday. And then career best at Goodwood. JM Jungle also loves York. So yeah, plenty of positives. I mean, I know early on yesterday, Tom, it looked like low was the place to be, but as the day went on, there were plenty of high drawn horses getting into it in the sprint races, certainly by the last race, the 5 furlong race. So yeah, I don't see the draw as a major negative.
I want to have 2 in the race. I want to start with Frost at Dawn. She didn't run great in this race last year, but Mikhail Barcelona's got a great record on there, including second to American Affair at Ascot, which I don't think would have played to her strength as a track. They broke the track record together at Maidan a couple of years ago, and that was when making all over the far side rail. I think that's where Barcelona will go again here. There's loads of pace lows, 6 and 8 main bits of pace with Night Raider in there at 8 and Frost at Dawn at 6. But with Mikhail Barcelona on Frost at Dawn, and also last year was her first start since coming back from the Middle East, whereas she's got a few runs under her belt this season, ones as well. I think she's massively overpriced at 21.0. And if there is a headwind again, there wasn't the first day, and there is again today. Looking at it currently, though not as strong. Sayed Darian back over 5, drawn 2. That could really suit, because I think she's drawn the right side where the pace is here, and Ryan Moore booked for Richie Hughes. They've got a great recent record together, and she'd be really suited by pace meltdown over towards that far side if it transpires. So 8.5 on her on side. But I'm quite excited by Frost at Dawn with Barcelona booked. There you go. There's some prices for you in the Nunthorpe. And if the 2-year-old favourite goes and wins, then there you go. We're all wrong. Handicap then at 150 right at the start of the day. Andrew, we agree. This song's for you. I was impressed with the success in Ireland a few starts back, and back in Handicap Company. I can see a lot about this distance suiting. I think a return to further is going to suit anyway in handicap company. Why have you gone for this song is for you?
Yeah, I think just a slightly bigger field handicap will really play to this horse's strengths. Strong travelling horse, seems to go well in these bigger fields. I was third in the BMW Mile last year at Galway, went on then to win the Northfields handicap at the Curragh on Champions Weekend, roughly around this time last year, off 94. As a result of going up the weights, has had to kind of run in rated races and listed races this year. And what you get in Ireland is you get these small field tactical races like last time at Leopardstown when it was a close fifth behind Sons and Lovers and Crystal Black. Had no chance of getting into the race the way the race was run, especially at Leopardstown, that's speed favouring. Back to an 11-runner race. Looks like there's plenty of pace on. I'd like to think off 99, this horse has plenty of a chance. And Tom Marconda, an excellent booking for Emmett Mullins. And we know Emmett Mullins, both on the flat and over jumps, knows well how to target these big meetings.
Yeah, all of that. I agree with you. Charlie, who's it for you in this one, the opening race on the Friday?
Champagne Prince at 17.0 for Jane Chapel-Hyam. Really progressive horse on the all-weather through the winter and then the early part of this season. And then, I mean, and subsequently he's £10. He's rated £10 higher on the all-weather. So back off 95, he ran a really good race in the Copper Horse behind French Master. Travelled up there really well. Probably didn't quite see it out. So I don't think the dropping back 2 furlongs in trip will be any inconvenience to him here. Bombed out on his latest start behind One for the Gutter at Newmarket. Nothing really. I don't know a particular reason for that. I'm just putting the line for it. But he has been subsequently gelded. And as we saw yesterday with Pride of Arras, that isn't always a bad thing. So I'm hoping that lightning will strike twice and that'll have the effect for Champagne Prince, because he's definitely handicapped to take a decent race out on the turf.
All right, the long distance race. I don't think we want to spend too much time on the Lonsdale Cup because we've all technically put it back. You have put Trawman, Charlie. I mean, what would your level of confidence be about this on shot?
I mean, I think he will win. It's just whether, what is he, 1.61 or something like that, whether that's your thing backing horses at that price. I mean, he's by far the best horse in the race. Al Karim likes York, but I mean, Trawman obviously won an Ebor here. I mean, I think he's only had the one start at York, but I don't see that being a problem. And yet I think he'd be far too good for them. It just wouldn't really interest me in wading in at those sort of odds.
Fair enough. We'll kick on. He seems to find out all those quirks of old Trawman, and he looks straightforward. And I think he's cementing himself as the best stay around Kyprios. The Jim Crack is up next. I'm with Reciprocated here, who was disappointing at Ascot last time. I mean, it all went completely wrong. The horse broke out the widest gate ball on the low side at Ascot, and then saw plenty of daylight. The Godolphin horse was in front of him and ended up winning the race, lit him up, and then Will Buick, Great Ride, took back and used that horse for cover, Reciprocated, and Reciprocated just pulled his face off for the whole first couple of furlongs and didn't see out the race. Back over 6 is going to suit. Carl Burke's had some very high class juveniles this year, and he's got a really strong squad. And I think the key is coming back to 6 furlongs to help him settle, and he's drawn more in the middle now, so we can get a little bit of cover, which I think they will look for off the back of what happened last time. So I think he's priced up on a bit of a throw-out race at Ascot, Reciprocated. Charlie, who do you like?
Life Plan for me. I mean, I thought, as a 2-year-old races go, I thought the Lauder today had far more depth to it than this race tomorrow. Personally, Do or Do Not is a really high caliber maiden, but he is still a maiden, and I mean he brings a good level of form. I was slightly wary of the fact that he's got first time cheap pieces on. Life Plan on by the other hand was at €165,000 euro purchase, and he was very green when he made a winning debut at first. But I thought he was really well on top of the line. And I don't know, it's just one of those visual ones watching. I thought there was loads to like about the performance. And it just came down to the fact that I'd rather be with him at sort of 5.5 on an upward trajectory. I mean, he has plenty to find on bare form with Do or Do Not. But I just think there's a lot to come from this horse. And I was wary of the favourite.
All right, I think you should be wary of the favourite in the fillies handicap next. And I tell you, Andrew, you kick off because you've sat the last couple of races. Wonder Star.
Yeah, I'm going to take on Zagarta. Possibly not a wise decision, but I quite like this Wonder Star. Was a good second at Glorious Goodwood last time out when was up against the rail all the way round and just ended up losing out to a very well ridden Ashariba. Tom Marquand did one of his ones where he goes on the outside, cuts across of everyone, and it was a very inspired piece of race riding. I'm just intrigued by this horse that they threw her into a listed contest on her third start. Not really a William Haggas thing to do, especially considering she looked like she had a favourable handicap mark. She's only been nudged up £2 for Goodwood. Clearly, she's a filly that they like quite a lot. And Tom Marquand gets back on, which is only a positive. I'm just a little bit concerned. Obviously, Zagarta has a new rider, Nusheen Murphy, being on her tomorrow. However, the majority of the way she's run thus far has been to be held up. And I'm never really convinced I want to be weighing in on something short at York that wants to be held up, considering quite a lot of the time it favours to be a little bit more prominent. Wonder Star will be more prominent, and I've just about sided with her.
Charlie.
Yeah, Zagarta for me, I just think you only have to look back. She ran a cracking race behind Never at Royal Ascot in the Sandringham, and then backed that up at Goodwood with crikey, she was so unlucky in my opinion. I mean, she was beat 2 1/4 lengths, but she just got no run, fell out the stalls, and it just got worse and worse. And from there, I mean, she was incredibly eye-catching. She stays on the same mark of 89. Asheen Murphy takes over today as the new retained rider for the owner. And also we're stepping back up in trip to Amana Quarter. She won her maiden at Newmarket over Amana Quarter. Last 2 runs have been in top class races over a mile, but the extra 2 furlongs have got to suit. And I think she's absolutely rock solid. I think she 4.33. I thought she was incredibly interesting, and probably my strongest fancy of the day.
Yeah, snap. Very strong on Zagarta. I take the point about being held up here. But it's 10.5 furlongs. I know it's a 13-run field, but she's not going to be miles off it. Like the other thing about Ascot was, if you look at the description of where she finished, what does it say on the post? Fifth of 21 group, and that doesn't tell the full story because 3 of them were drawn far side, raced on the far side of the near side group, and then joined the far side sooner. She came through, faced loads of daylight, and just ran out of steam a little bit. I do think she wants covering up. Last time was an absolute disaster. She was drawn widest of all, and then Holly ended up finding loads of trouble, even though they came near side, which happens at Goodwood, but she's just better than that. A return to the distance of her last success. I'm gonna have a good go at her.
Do you foresee her being ridden a little bit more prominently with new jockey on?
No, not really. No, she's drawn 13, so I think he will tuck in. But it's a jockey upgrade, isn't it? Because it's Asheen Murphy, who is top 3 jockeys in the UK, and he's riding with a low of confidence at the moment. That's nothing on the previous jockey at all, who's exceptional, but it is. And I think his hand will be forced to tuck in, but I think she wants 10. And, I think they'll come down the middle and he'll have options to go wherever he wants to go, really. So, I do think I think they'll probably have to tuck in at 13, but I think she's way ahead of 89.
Yep.
Andrew, just you for another Friday bet in the 520.
Yeah, just one in the last horse called Big Leader for Jeff Oldroyd. 3 from 3 thus far. One at Redcar in a novice, one at Southall under a penalty, and then one at Thirsk last time out in the Summer Cup. There wasn't necessarily the strongest Summer Cup that's ever been run at Thirsk, only 5 runners, but really liked this horse's attitude. Treble T came to win that race, and he just put his head down, kept galloping to the line. I'm not sure being out in front really suits this horse in terms of, I think, a slightly bigger field and maybe being held on to a little bit longer will help. I think he's bone idle when he gets to the front. Very hard horse to gauge, and he's been given a mark of 94 after that win at Thirsk, and that could still underestimate him. Obviously, Jeff Oldroyd, very good at getting these horses to peak for a meeting like this. The Bond Thoroughbreds love having runners and love having horses go very close at York. Already have had one or two thus far yesterday and have a few fancied horses today. So I think Big Leader has much more of a chance than maybe the 8.0 suggests. I'd have made him nearly favourite, and actually he's fourth or fifth favourite with a lot of firms.
All right, Match with Zero long shot on Friday. The Match with Zero markets go live an hour before each race. One bet only, but there's zero margin, zero commission. So you're very likely to get best odds here than anywhere, including the Matchbook Exchange itself. Mine's Poste at Dawn in the Nunthorpe. Andrew?
Yeah, Nunthorpe as well for me. Tom, looks like the race to kind of go at for this type of a bet, and JM Jungle is the one for me.
Charlie?
Champagne Prince in the 150 for me.
Best bets then on Friday. It's a £5 money back special. You put these three in a treble. If it doesn't win, you get your £5 back. Simple as that. And if it does win, you're going to be doing all right. Mine's Garter, and that stole that off Charlie in the 410. Andrew?
Yeah, in Emmett Mullins we trust. This song is for you in the opening handicap.
Charlie?
No, in fairness, mate, you were first in. So being the team player, I put a live plan in the gym crack, but it would have been Zagata.
All right, lifespan in the 3 o'clock. Zagata for me. And the song is for you, for Andrew. 3 o'clock then at your order. We're going to start with the Ebor. Sorry, let's. I feel like we should start with the Ebor on the final day, and it's the big field handicap as well. Is the Ebor Festival. So 3:35. You've got any agree? Yeah, you two agree on another big field race. Go on, Charlie. You can come in first because it's your sole selection.
I'm pleased. I didn't notice that, but yeah, as in Majestic Warrior for me, 17.0. I mean, he's a horse that's incredibly lightly raced for his age. But you know, we've been off for nearly 2 years when he made his return at Thirsk, and I mean, look, it probably wasn't the greatest race in the world, but he beat Knightswood, who's a decent yardstick, and he absolutely thumped him. You know, 4.5 lengths under hands and heels riding. Clifford Lee on board, and over a mile and a half, you know. So the step up in trip, the way he went through the race is an obvious plus. And he's just so unexposed. You know, he was bumped up 9 for that. But I mean, the handicapper would have been guessing at his superiority because he was so much better. You'd imagine he's surely going to be sharper for the run. He's very low mileage. And then you look into his pedigree as well. And he's a half brother to Fujiwara Prince that won this race in 2020. I think half brother to Nichols Canyon as well. So, you know, the up in trip has got to be a huge plus as well. And much as I'm wary of the Mullins horses towards the top of the market, I wanted to go with something that was a bit of a juicier price to get stuck into. And this horse, as you go through them, he's the one of the few that has a real opportunity to rate an awful lot higher than his current mark because he's so seriously unexposed.
Andrew, what do you want to add to that?
Yeah, not much. Was going through the race with a fine tooth comb, kind of end up landing on a 17.0 shot, thinking, Jesus, I really am shrewd, only to find that Charlie had put it on the sheet before me. So hopefully great minds think alike, and only echo what Charlie said. He's just the type of horse that might have an awful lot in hand, and hopefully he does. I've also thrown Fleetfoot in there at an absolutely wild price, 67.0 on Matchbook at the moment. Tough, durable, kind of typical Jim Bulger horse, as ran plenty of times already this summer. Won a good lucrative handicap at the Curragh 3 starts ago, beating Cloud Seeker, who's a progressive horse in his own right, over a mile and a half. Then got kind of trouble in running at Galway, which happens to around 70% of the runners that go to Galway, and kind of came home with a rattle to finish fourth. It was very frustrating. And then it was a messy race in the McHenry Cup at Goran a week or two ago, but Declan McDonough kind of took the race by the balls halfway down the back and decided he needed to make more use of him, and ended up winning. Gets a £3 mandatory penalty for that, but that kind of gets him to sneak in at the bottom of the weights. He's tough. He stays well. I just don't think he should be this type of price. You know, if he was 17.0 or something, you'd think he's probably fair enough, but he's 67. It's just far too big for a progressive handicapper. stays well and is really tough, and you just know he's going to be putting it in at the end. So it's a win and place bet for me, and fingers crossed at a big price. Jim Bulger has been slightly out of the limelight over the last few years, but this horse might give him a big day.
Okay, now chance Al Moshe for Wathnan, who's been gelded. Now the key there is that behind the stalls at Ascot he was coltish, and he's not going to be now. And if you look at his York success, that's worked out, the defeat of Stress Free. Ascot was obviously a little bit disappointing, but he was a big drifter and threw his race really before the gates. He was progressing nicely before the switch of stables. He's continued that progression where he seemed to have first start for the yard. Last time I forgave him, and I think he's the perfect candidate. I think he'll love this distance. He's 21.0, which having been gelded off the back of what went wrong last time, I thought was far too big, although maybe I'm an idiot not picking an Irish horse, probably. But I will have Al Moshe on side at 21.0. City of York next. This is the new Group 1 over 7 furlongs. Thank God Rosalian's in there, given it's a Group 1, but I would be keen to take on personally. I would pick up with that. He's the best horse in the race. I'm just not. I don't think he wants to battle. Add to that the fact that, well, did he have a step back? I don't know. But the yard, I know they're back in form, but they had been a little quiet. I think there's enough to just worry about the horse's profile coming into it. He's drawn 11 of 11, which over 7 recently, widest of all, hasn't been as bad as you might think. I still don't think it's ideal. And I just think he's a tricky horse. Like I don't think there's pressure on Sean Lee here. There's a lot to take in coming into this race, and you've got some course specialists there as well. So I'm not convinced he's all that, to be honest. So I would want to take him on, and I want to do that. It was either with Audience or with Quinault. I've gone with Quinault, who absolutely loves it here. It's just a York thing. See it time and time again at the track. Horses just can improve £5 for coming back here. He'll need to, definitely. But that win here a couple of starts ago was pretty good. And I want to try and get him in the 3 really, a big old price. Andrew, you're going to tell me why Rosalian's going to go and win.
Yeah, well, I might as well have thrown my ticket in the docket or in the bin after what you've just said there. I have never backed Rosalian before in my life. I can hold my hands up to that, and I think this is the day to really be onside. I just look at the race. I completely understand your point. I think he's a little bit shaky in a battle. I'm not sure he's been given the best of rides the last couple of starts, to be honest. I think in another life, he could be a 6-time Group 1 winner. He's only a 3-time Group 1 winner. But at the same stage, they've gone and put this race up to a Group 1, which is great. An awful lot of York's prize money stuff is great. And all we've been treated to is one Group 1 horse and an awful lot of Group 2, Group 3 horses running in this again. It has not changed in the slightest from a runner's perspective from last year. And you've just got the best horse in the race. And I must confess, it would be almost, as much as it's the first time I'm backing him, it's like last chance saloon for Rosalian. I feel if he can't beat these horses on this type of ground, I don't think 7 furlongs is of any issue. In fact, it might actually almost be a help, because maybe the last kind of 50 yards of his mile races, he doesn't maybe hit the line just quite as much as you'd want him to. But this is a real opportunity here. He's just got a class edge. He's a £7 better horse, I think, than the second favourite in Never So Brave. And there's another £4 or £5 back to the rest of them, like in my head. And I can't see a situation where you're getting 2.75 about a Group 1 horse against a bunch of Group 3 horses.
Who are you with?
Yeah, I mean, I can see both sides of the argument with you guys. I have backed Rosalian. I backed him at Ascot when he was probably a victim of not there being a lack of pace early in the race. But he is one of those horses. He's an excuses horse, and he's been beat quite a bit for a horse with his probably a latent amount of natural ability. Never So Brave for me. I mean, I've been with him sort of all the way through. I was very strong on him at Ascot, and then he backed it up into Group Company against an enterprisingly ridden Point Linus, where he reeled him in over a mile, showed a bit of versatility with his trip as well. Back to this, which I think is his optimum. Yes, he's had 11 starts, but he's only had the 3 for the Andrew Boldin team. And as a 4-year-old, he's still very, very much unexposed. That they were talking about him as a Group 1 horse. I think he is. I agree with Andrew. When you look at the makeup of this race, it's a disappointing turnout for a race that was being sort of championed as just what we needed, a 7-furlong Group 1 in the middle of the calendar. And yes, Rosanian is the only one to have struck at that level, but I think Never So Brave will tomorrow and will go on through the autumn to prove he's well up to that.
Yeah, I feel weirdly he's like your horse. I don't know why he's not, but I just associate this horse with Charlie.
I wish he was.
It's weird, yeah, for you. Yeah. But yeah. Okay. That is the City of York. Strengths or Stakes next. Again, you two agree. Go on, Andrew.
Yeah, well, interesting with this horse. I think myself and Josh Stacey got lost on the train lines and actually found ourselves in Kempton on a Wednesday night when this horse made his debut back in December. And he's been a horse I've wanted to be on side with ever since then. He was a fine-looking horse. He won at the track, obviously, under a penalty earlier this year, then did a little bit too much too soon in the French Derby. I would completely forgive that run. A possibility that he didn't stay at the extended mile 2 and just got lit up early in the race. Back to a mile 1, which could really suit him. I think he's a quality horse, and it just wouldn't surprise me whether this horse is actually still a Group 2, maybe even a Group 1 horse in time. We haven't seen that yet. He will need to improve to get to that level, but I think this is the kind of the perfect fit. And at the price he was, I think 6.0, I thought was a very, very fair price against plenty of horses that probably we know their colours. As for, I think with Beaumark, there's still plenty more to come.
Charlie, what do you want to add?
I mean, again, not heaps. I mean, I would upgrade the French race even a bit more than Andrew. I thought he did well to stick in for as long as he did, having done as much as he had. As he says, there's plenty of relatively more exposed horse in here. He's still got time to rate a bit higher than this. And yeah, I thought he was very interesting, and the price looked a generous price to me.
All right, I'll jump in with Gladius, who I was going on pre-Dex prices. He's 11.0 now, but I liked the Arabian Force form, even though he was beaten at whatever it was, at 1.4 or 1.3. But I think Arabian Force is a very capable individual. He was third behind Pride of Arras yesterday. Gladius has since come out and won 2. I think he's priced up on the account they've been handicaps, but he's progressing. Not flashy. I liked the performance of Goodwood. This seems to be his distance, and after Goodwood, in fact, after Sandown, I was watching with Steve Mellish, who he's a good judge of a good horse, and he earmarked that horse as a good horse. And we said, look, could he be a strengths or stakes horse, because 9 furlong seems to be his distance, and he's worth a go in something a little bit better. He's got a bit to find, but I think he can continue progressing. And 11.0 is big enough. It's a race I wanted to play something slightly bigger in. All right, the Melrose. You and I this time, Andrew. Talisman's time for a yard. They had a really quiet July, even though this horse managed to get a win in July. And I love the jockey. He's having a phenomenal season. And it was a race I wanted to have. I'd not a strong opinion on, and therefore I wanted to take something at double figure odds. I know he's been winning some Northern handicaps, but doing it quite nicely. And 15.0 was I was very happy with. You?
Yeah, it looked a very fair price to me. Massive fan of the yard myself. I'm a big fan of Ed Bethel, and as you say, jockey is excellent as well. He just looks like a kind of a steady improver. He doesn't do anything in an almighty rush, but was only given £5 for winning at Hamilton the last time, and he won with an awful lot in hand. Very easily could have gone up £8 or £9 for that. Leaves him in the mid-80s, which I think is perfectly fair. Looks like the type of horse that might develop into maybe a Northumberland Plate horse or horse next year, a proper staying 2-miler. So a mile 6 as a 3-year-old race like this should really be up his street. And I'd be disappointed if he doesn't give a very good account of himself. And as you mentioned, Yard went through a pretty dry spell of things in July, but really beginning to hit their straps. And probably they've got a few nicely handicapped horses to go to war with at the back end of this season as a result.
Yeah, agree. Hopefully this is one of them, Charlie.
Again, like you guys, I thought there were a few horses priced up on connections and pedigrees, maybe rather than hard form. So I wanted to go with something bigger. Came down with Novelista, the Charlie Johnson 21.0. He's, this horse he ran for all. I think he's still a maiden. He's ran a string of good races behind a few of the ones that pitch up again. Many Men and his stablemate Polestar. Again, I was wondering whether Joe would have had the choice of which one he wanted to ride. I presume as he's ridden both, and he won on Polestar on his latest start. Ran really well at Goodwood recently, over a mile and a half behind Omni-Man, where he was just run out of it very late on under a positive ride. Going back up 2 furlongs in trip should suit him. He's drawn 1, which I didn't see when I made my selections, but I would hope that they'll stick with those more positive tactics than can be the case when he's run a few times with Joe Fannin on, who's excellent from the front. And yeah, he's off a mark where he deserves to win a race. And this is a valuable pot that was flagged up immediately after I think he ran at Haydock or Goodwood by Charlie Johnson as a sort of mid to late season target.
All right, last one is handicap over 6 furlongs. One last year by El Monjed, who took out a race here recently with a few of these in behind. 4:10, 3 different horses going up. I'll come straight back at you, Charlie. 9.0 shot.
Yeah, I'm going for the one that El Monjed just beat, Jubilee Walk, not 9.0. He's ran 2 really solid races back from a wind up. It was a little bit unlucky at Chester, and then stuck on really well to be closest at the line behind El Monjed. But he's been popped up £1, which I don't think is an issue. Hopefully he's sort of building his way and regaining confidence after that wind operation to form. He's drawn low and quite a lot more the fancied ones seem to be. And also on RPRs, his 2 best performances by a long shot have been at York when winning over 5 furlongs here last season and that latest start. And he just seems like he could be a sprinter still, a little bit unexposed on his way up. Also at a bigger price, I'm going to chuck in completely random of the Harry Charlton's. He just drawn 17. I didn't think there was heaps of pace high from the glance I'd looked through, but I think this horse is off a mark where he can go and win a big pot as well. So 17.0, I'll throw him into the mix too.
Just because you mentioned that race last time, El Monjed one, I'll go with Pocklington, who I thought he didn't get stopped, but he didn't finish the last furlong with complete momentum. And he was only beaten 3/4 of the length, so I think he might have got a bit close. I mean, El Monjed was good value for it, but there's no El Monjed here. He's 9.0. Jeff Oldroyd's on for his best ever season, 30% strike rate this year, including Air Force One, who went really well here yesterday and was a bit unlucky actually. So yeah, I thought Pocklington had a solid chance and was a bit overpriced. I put an early price on there at 9.0. He's not that now. He's more like 7.5. So I'll update that with Pocklington. For me, Andrew, who do you like?
Yeah, I quite like the horse that Charlie mentioned second there, Completely Random. I thought he was very fair at 17.0, kind of becoming a standing dish in these types of races. Was a close-up 5th in the Wokingham. Ran actually a pretty good race in the Stewards Cup, considering he was on the wrong side. I think you can very much upgrade that performance. Again, there's going to be a possibility that we're looking at the back end of this race going, he was on the wrong side again. I suppose the latter races of yesterday, where we did see horses, I think Hugo Palmer's horse 1 out of 22. This horse is 17 at 20. So he is going to have to shift left coming out of the stalls, but hopefully can manage to do that and kind of weave his way through rivals. That's the way he likes to be ridden. And he's got some decent form. That form when winning at Leicester earlier this year stands up pretty well in this type of company. And as I say, I thought he was a good 3 or 4 points bigger than I was expecting him to be. It wouldn't surprise me if he's a single figure price on the day.
All right, we're done until the Matchbook Zero long shot now. It goes live an hour before each race. Best odds, very likely given there's zero margin, zero commission, win bets only. Gladius for me in the 150, the Strensel. Andrew?
It doesn't get much bigger for me. Fleetfoot in the Ebor for a big boil over.
67.0, yes please, Charlie.
Novelista for me in the Melrose.
All right, then best bets. A reminder of the money back as a best bet treble. you get your £5 treble on these 3 horses. If it wins, it'll pay you quite nicely. If it doesn't, you get your money back. So it's a shot to nothing. That is for new and existing customers. T's and C's are on the website. Mine's Pocklington in that 410 sprint. Andrew?
Beaumark for me to be the class above in the Strensel.
And Charlie?
Never So Brave in the City of York.
Obviously. Good stuff. Thanks both of you, Andrew and Charlie. That is our days 3 and 4 of York preview. Don't forget to like, follow, and subscribe if you like our content. Best no cost way of supporting our podcast. And we'll chat to you again soon. Have an excellent rest of the York Ebor Festival. Bye-bye.